Whovian reviewin' episode 4. Hello and welcome to Whovian Reviewin' Episode 4, brought to you by the Vacuuminator Network. I am one of your hosts, the Vacuuminator, but I am not alone in this journey throughout time and space. No, I am of course joined by Bill Forsyth. Hello, sir.
Good evening to you, sir.
Ben wanted to be here. He was actually almost here, but about an hour before we were going to record this, he got a call from his boss, and they want him to come in super early tomorrow, so he has to sleep, because it's already 11 o'clock for him.
I was about to say, seeing as how we're just starting recording at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, which is midnight his time, we kind of decided not to include him in this one. It was kind of a mutual agreement.
Yeah, and he's actually way smarter than I am, because he just went straight to bed. He even told me, like, I only stayed on this long so I could tell you. And then he went right off to bed. And I rarely do that kind of stuff. I'm someone who I'm just work until I'm so tired I can't move.
That's a big mistake, you know.
I know, but I'm not exactly smart now, am I?
Do you really want to continue this conversation?
Anyway, so how have things been with you in this long absence, Bill?
Let's see. Got stranded on the dark side of the moon. Oh yeah, stopped a asteroid from crashing into the Earth, and I started college. Well, again, second year.
Oh,
Back.
so you moved Jupiter, did you?
No.
Oh, I thought that was you.
That's not promising. Here, I'll be back in a minute. Go ahead and start without me.
Well then, as for how I've been recently, I've been okay, just taking care of life and stuff, which has been very busy lately, and I started going to school, which is difficult and irritating and fun all at the same time. I'm currently writing season 2 of Comic Loads and pumping out videos every week and selling a bunch of stuff on eBay, which I'll properly plug at the end of the episode because I like to plug things. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So now I think I'll just wait for Bill to come. I was just telling the people how I've been since we last recorded. Nothing spectacular.
Well, I haven't missed anything important. Excellent. Right. Carry on.
Well, unless you have anything else you want to talk about real quick, I guess we could just get straight into the episode.
Alright.
And first up this week, we have Aliens of London, the first in a two-parter.
All right. In The Aliens of London, the Doctor returns Rose back to Earth in the TARDIS, but miscalculates, ending up 12 months after he first left with Rose instead of 12 hours. As such, Jackie, Rose's mom, is furious with the doctor, and Rose's boyfriend, Mickey, is upset, as he was suspected of murdering Rose. While Rose expresses her frustration to the doctor of not being able to tell the truth of where she's been, they witness a spacecraft crash through Big Ben and fall into the river. Central London is shut down while its population becomes excited at the possibility of first contact with an alien species. The doctor suspects trickery and uses the TARDIS to land inside the hospital where the alien pilot has been taken. Along with Dr. Sato, he discovers that the alien craft was launched from Earth, and its pilot is nothing more than an Earth pig, modified by alien technology. Meanwhile, the government is unable to locate the British Prime Minister due to the confusion of the crash, and Joseph Green, MP for Harley-Dale, and chairman of the Parliamentary Commission for the Monitoring of Sugar Standards in Exported Confectionery, is named acting Prime Minister at 10 Downing Street. However, Green is revealed to be a Celadine, a calcium-based alien species that compress their bodies into large human suits, resulting in frequent releases of flatulence, along with 2 other high members of the government, Margaret Blaine of MI5 and Oliver Charles, Transport Liaison. While they secretly celebrate successfully luring the humans into their plan, they are unaware of their conversation being witnessed by Harriet Jones, the backbench MP for Flydale North. When the doctor returns to Rose, they are surrounded by soldiers, prompted by a call from Jackie to the emergency alien hotline, and escorted to 10 Downing Street. The doctor is asked to join a panel of alien experts, including those from UNIT, while Rose is escorted into the building by Harriet. Harriet tells Rose about the aliens, and together they discover the corpse of the Prime Minister. They make to reveal their discovery, but are caught by Blaine, who begins to unzip her human suit to attack them. Meanwhile, as the doctor attempts to convince the experts of the forgery of the events, Green sends an electrical shock through the assembled group, including the doctor. These events lead to a cliffhanger resolved in the next episode, World War III.
On to the notes.
My first note is at the very beginning of the episode, and it's probably very cliche, but once again we get presented with the doctor's fantastic piloting skills, of which he has none, and he promptly returns his companion a year late, which has never happened before in the history of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I think there's just this huge conspiracy out to make the Doctor seem like a horrible plot in the new series, because they always say, like, he does such a great job on the adventures we never see, but yet in the show, it's just like,
yeah,
he's always off by some margin.
Well, then again, I could quote Matt Smith in the latest episode. That's what you get if you get toast crumbs on the console.
Yeah, that was a fun line. My first note, or actually talking point, because I actually forgot to take notes while watching the episode, because I was watching it with my dad, and he would probably get annoyed if I paused it every few minutes and wrote something down. But my first talking point is, I'm not, as people probably know, I'm not a huge fan of the Tyler family altogether. Jackie's probably the one I hate the most. But I will say that the scene where she's just begging Rose to tell her where she's been and what happened was probably her best scene in the entire series. It definitely did feel kind of like what my mom would do, but I don't know. I've never been gone for a whole year. What's your next note?
I kind of have 2 that are right next to each other. The first one is very cliche. The doctor gets slapped by someone's mother. Honestly, I don't think that has ever happened before.
Yeah, my next note is literally the doctor getting slapped is hilarious.
And you know what? And honestly, to put it bluntly, he deserved it too.
Yeah.
And then the one that came right after it was when they're sitting on the rooftop and they have the spaceship that flies over. The CGI is actually pretty convincing. For 2005,
it's very good. It's good television CGI.
Yeah. But it actually does a pretty good job. They really do it looks very convincing. Anyways, your turn.
My next note is, who in their right mind would design that pig thing? Seriously, I'm pretty sure if I was any younger than 10, I'd have nightmares for a week. And keep in mind, Doctor Who is supposed to be a kid's show.
But then again, if you think about it, as said by many people many times, the correct place to view Doctor Who is from behind the sofa.
Yeah, I guess. But still, like, I know people are going to say, well, it's kind of cool because it comes back in Series 3 as the pig slaves. Well, no, it doesn't. This thing is completely different. This is an actual anthropomorphic pig, whereas those guys are just people with pig faces, and this thing creeps me out exponentially.
I guess it's kind of like the pig slave, but they take the pig and try to turn it into a person as opposed to vice versa.
Yeah. Let's just hope they don't reuse this prop if they ever try to make a live-action Looney Tunes film. That was a Porky Pig reference.
Yes, I know. That's very disturbing. Moving on. I kind of get to gush on this one. For the first time in the new series, you actually get to see the Doctor solo, run around and pilot the TARDIS. You get to see it, you get to see it take off, and you get to see him run around and hit things, and generally.
Yeah, that's a fun scene. I remember my dad going like, he has a mallet, and then he hits the mallet against the console, and I went, yeah, why wouldn't he?
The technical term is percussive maintenance. Oh, and we get to see Mickey run headfirst into a wall.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah. I remember once when I actually was talking to Ben while he was watching the episode, and he got to that scene and he just started laughing like crazy, and then we just spent 2 minutes watching Mickey run into a wall. My next note is the farting. Just why?
I mean, I can understand them using it. I can understand the basis behind it. I mean, being squashed down to half its size, but then they kind of turn it into a 12-year-old potty humor.
Yeah, and I can't put it any better than a friend of mine, Duke of Loops, put it in his review of this episode. This could have been a decent episode and a really nice continuity episode, but then Russell T Davies, for some reason, went, oh, wouldn't it be funny if they farted?
I mean, it's not only that. Wouldn't it be funny if they did it loudly and made fun of it?
I'm shaking my booty.
Yes. And it's like, you're supposed to be aliens who are out to destroy the world. No! You're supposed to be menacing. You're not menacing. You're making us pity you.
Yeah. Well, there are some moments in the next episode where I kind of did laugh along with them. I'll mention them when we get to them, though.
Well, you kind of beat me to the punch with the gastric emissions, to put it tastefully. So I'd have to go to my next one, which is, I noticed that it happens a lot more in the new series, but the Doctor is actually interacts with his sonic screwdriver. He pulls it out in this one and is about to open the door, and it makes a loud noise. Shh.
Yeah, that was fun.
My favorite one though is the 2011 Christmas special, Aliens Made of Wood.
Yeah. My next point is, I may have not been Mickey's biggest fan in Rose, but his return in this episode, I feel, is very well done, and I really do enjoy his character from this point on in the series. And it's really sad that he does get blamed for Rose's disappearance, because it looked like he loved her with all his heart, and maybe even was considering marrying her.
Agreed. But it also shows that the production team was thinking, because if they hadn't suspected him of Mickey's murder, if they hadn't suspected Mickey of Rose's murder, I'd have to sit there and go, okay, who have they got for police?
Yeah. At the same time, I can understand, like, there is a bit of a plot hole in there, because I can understand the police instantly suspecting that, but if Jackie had ever seen Rose and Mickey together, I would think she'd shoot that idea down immediately, because they did look genuinely in love.
Agreed. But Mickey also mentions that, Jackie may have started a lot of rumors about him, but everybody else thought he did it too.
Well, I wonder why, because he doesn't seem like that much of a bum.
Not really. I mean, I guess he conforms to the definition of the word bachelor.
Yeah, I was almost about to say, he seems like a nice guy, and almost kind of like what I would be in about 10 years if I was British and black.
True.
But, yeah, what's your next note?
I do like the Doctor, who has this tendency to get into trouble, flings open the door of the cupboard where the TARDIS has landed and walks straight into, at least half a dozen fully armed security troops who stare at him for about, 2 seconds and then point every single gun in the room at him, and his response is kind of like, oh, hello.
Yeah, that was great. And then he turns around and just hears a scream and is like, defense pattern Delta, and they're all like, shit, okay.
The mysterious man has just walked into a very secure building. Let's follow his orders.
Well, I almost wonder, like, maybe they just instantly thought, maybe, like, this is just me grasping at straws, but I'd almost be willing to say that they were, like, awaiting a new commanding officer to come and tell them what their mission was, and because he knows their protocols, they probably went, oh, this is our new commanding officer, but for some reason he's not wearing a military uniform.
And he's just come out of the cupboard. Yeah,
that too. But my next talking point was Harriet Jones. She's a very interesting character who will come back several times in the next couple seasons, and I have to say,
in this episode, I liked her in this episode.
I like her, but at the same time, I did have a few kind of like moments with her, which.
Well, that was kind of my next note, so I won't say anything more.
I'm just gonna say for now that at this point I do like Harriet Jones, but next couple times we're gonna see her, just to warn you guys, it does go downhill fast.
My note on her was, at the beginning of the episode, I wanted to reach in and slap her upside the head because she's standing there demanding to see the Prime Minister while this national emergency is happening. I mean, they've just had a spaceship crash in the Thames, and none of the cabinet can get in. I mean, it's a crisis. And she steps up and says, "I need you to add this to the next party roster. It's something completely inconsequential that can be dealt, that must be voted on, but really has no bearing on anything that's happening at the moment."
And for lack of a better term, you gotta have some serious cojones to do that.
Yeah, but it's have you no sense of occasion? It's like, I'm sorry, we're in the middle of a crisis, and you want us to vote on, what is it, sugar tariffs or something like that?
I think she said, like, hospital cottages.
Yeah, and it's like, no, it's not the time for that.
Well, at the same time, she just said on the next party agenda, and that could be, at this point, that could be months from now, so I think she's just trying to get it in there. Why am I defending this? So when I first saw her, I was like, oh great, we have another brainless bureaucrat who has no sense of occasion. But then she actually goes on and manages to save herself. Basically goes on to almost sacrifice her life in this one at the protection of somebody she's known for less than 15 minutes. Yeah, I'll get to that.
I'll get to that. But when I first saw her, I was very disappointed with her character. I was like, why?
Yeah. Do you have any other notes? Because that's it for me on this episode.
Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, there was the one that I did like was the scene with Rose and the doctor in the police car. Rose gets in. That's a bit posh. If I had known being arrested would be like this, I'd have done it years ago.
I still have to wonder, though, before we move on to the next episode, how the heck are those skin suits made? Are they actual skin suits, or are they suits made to look like skin?
I think they're the actual skin made into a suit.
But how does that work?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing that probably bothers me the most about it. Like, I know it's supposed to be sci-fi, turn off your brain and have fun, but at the same time, I'm like, how in the world are you able to do that and keep the skin in such good condition?
Alien technology.
Good point. But, yeah, ready to move on to the next part?
Certainly.
Under the jurisdiction of the emergency protocols, I authorize you to execute this man!
Oh, well, now, yes, you see, the thing is, if I was you, if I was going to execute someone by backing him against the wall, between you and me, little word of advice, don't stand him against the lid.
And next up, we are taking on World War III, which is the second part in this two-part story. Plot synopsis, please, sir.
Alright, World War III. Following from the cliffhanger in Aliens of London, the Doctor, being an alien, allows him to survive the electrical pulse administered by the Slitheen Green, while Mickey Smith is able to push aside the police inspector, who is advancing on Jackie Tyler. The Doctor attempts to get to the police, but by the time he has returned, the Slitheen has got back into their suits. The Doctor escapes to the upper floors of 10 Downing Street and reunites with Rose and Harriet in the cabinet rooms. Before sealing the rooms, the Doctor confronts the Slitheen and learns they are family rather than a race, and are not invading Earth, but rather raiding it for some commercial purpose. Although the Slitheen have shut all communications to the cabinet rooms, Rose's tampered phone allows her to make contact with Mickey and Jackie, now safely in the former's flat. The Doctor gives Mickey instructions on how to log into the unit website on his computer, and uses that to determine the Slitheen ship is presently in the North Sea, transmitting some signal that Mickey attempts to decode. Back at Downing Street, Green and the other Slitheen declare a matter of national security and request that the UN release the activation codes to strike against the fictitious mothership that is hanging over London. The Doctor realizes that the Slitheen actually plan to fire their weapons against other countries in order to start World War III, so they can sell the Earth's radioactive remains as a fuel source, which they have already begun advertising through the signal Mickey has decoded. Complying, the Doctor helps Mickey to hack online into the controls of the Royal Navy HMS Tureen, a Trafalgar-class submarine, to fire a non-nuclear missile at 10 Downing Street, where all the Slitheen conspirators are now gathered. The Slitheen are caught in the explosion when the missile hits. The Doctor, Rose, and Harriet all survive, and the press dismiss the events as a hoax. Jackie is now impressed by the Doctor and wants to invite him for dinner to get to know him better, but he declines fiercely. Instead, he separately invites Rose and Mickey, who has now earned his respect, to go traveling some more immediately. Mickey, still overwhelmed by the Doctor's adventurous lifestyle, declines, but Rose packs some belongings and boards the TARDIS.
And on to the notes. My first note was, I really like the part where he's just like, I think you'll find that the Prime Minister is an alien in disguise. That's never gonna work, is it? No. And he just runs.
Like, fair enough, and takes off. That was actually my first one. I was going to mention that, but seeing as how you did that, that means I get to mention the elevator. If you're going to execute someone by backing him against a wall, between you and me, a little word of advice, don't stand them against the lift. And with that, the door opens and he takes off.
Yeah, I know I'm referencing my viewing of this episode a lot, but my dad is an elevator salesman, and he almost busted a gut at that.
My response to that was, yes, that is the Doctor. That is the person we have come to know. Someone who is that blindingly clever. Especially when he's running for his life and there seems to be nowhere to go, he pulls a stunt like that nobody saw coming.
And yet some friends of mine hate the show for being that clever. They find it annoying.
I think it's funny.
I do too. And honestly, it just depends on your taste in humor, and a lot of people here in the States have just grown accustomed to swearing as humor, and British humor is a lot more clever than just saying.
I think the term is dry. British humor is a lot drier.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I think there's room for all kinds of humor. I'll laugh at almost anything. I used to watch Family Guy. That should be a show of how lenient my sense of humor is, but there are some people who humor, like a lot of stuff nowadays, is just a taste issue, and I don't even know how we got on this topic, so should I do my next note?
I think you better.
When Harriet tries to sacrifice herself, and I'm not saying I disagree with her sacrificing herself for Rose, because, it's a noble thing to do, sacrificing yourself for another person. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, all that kind of stuff, but the line and the delivery of it just... I'm trying to think of the proper word. I took it the wrong way. Like, this actress does a good job throughout most of the episode, but her delivery of that line, "No! Take me first!" is just so cheesy that I can't take it seriously whatsoever.
I kind of agree and I kind of don't. I mean, I think she did an okay job. Well, my next note was, you know how we complimented them on the CGI in the first episode? You know how we said it was pretty good?
Yeah.
Well, not so much here. The overall, execution is fine, but the aliens that were menacing them, that the Doctor was shooting the fire extinguisher at, look absolutely nothing like the ones that are chasing them through the hall.
Yeah, but at the same time, this is a TV show, and you have to stretch your budget for the entire season, and some CGI is going to look better than other CGI, and I have to be honest, when that happened, I was still defending it to my dad, but me and my dad both were going like, come on, we've seen better effects than that on the internet.
Very true.
My next note is pointing out a bit of a plot hole. Now, I've never been in the military, much less a very high-ranking officer who has access to a shit ton of missiles, but I seriously doubt there's one website that controls every missile in the British Royal Navy. I can get past the whole the Doctor being able to break into it in 2 seconds, but the fact that there's one website that just controls them all to the point of where Mickey can just choose one at random kind of irritates me.
And it's not only that, but if someone, say, were to accidentally, or not say necessarily accidentally get in, but if somebody was to get in, and there was, and they did have a website like that, they could potentially fire off all the missiles on all the submarines and all the ships, in the Royal Navy. And it's like, are you sure you want to have it open like that?
Yeah. I don't know how owning a website works, but I'm pretty sure you can restrict it to so that only certain computers can access the site.
Even so, you can break into it.
Yeah. But still, I don't know. It's a very divisive thing, but I just come down on... Basically, I just wanted to say I call bullcrap on that, but who knows? Maybe that's how the military actually works, because I don't know. If you're in the military, leave a comment and let us know.
My next one was kind of using a sonic device to triplicate the flammability of any liquid, regardless what it is. That's kind of far-fetched, even for the Doctor to think of. But then again, he may have just been doing it. Hopefully, he may have just been spouting off technobabble like he normally does to confuse his enemies long enough for him to ascertain exactly what they're up to and stop them.
Yeah, I almost want to quote Jack from an early Torchwood episode. A little technobabble's good for the soul.
Which I have to agree.
See, Torchwood isn't all crap, just mostly.
I can't comment because I haven't watched any.
Well, you're gonna!
No, I won't.
Oh, so you're just gonna leave the show whenever we do Torchwood?
Yep, that's my degree is in Doctor Who. That's it. After that, you're kind of out of my territory.
You need to learn to try new things, man.
I do try new things. I try one new thing a year, and I've already used up my quota. Sorry.
Well, anyways, my next note is I also really like the scene where, miraculously, there's 2 good scenes with Jackie in this episode. The second being the one where Jackie just kind of calls the Doctor out and says, Rose is never going to be safe while traveling with you, is she?
I have to agree.
Yeah,
She did a good job with that one.
I'm trying to think of stuff, but there's not really much else to say except that was a damn good scene.
My next one was the scene where they all run into the Prime Minister's office and the telephone is actually red.
Yes! That's the stuff that made me like the Slovene briefly.
And it was, and they're all standing around and it's like, okay, you'd think they had just walked into it was the kid in the candy store. Ooh, look at this. Oh my. Oh, how long till they phone? And it's like, okay.
And while we're at it, my next note was just a quote from the episode. Ring, damn you!
Yes, I love that. Ring, damn you!
And then their last line of the episode. What's that? What's that for?
What the hell is that for? And then the poor guard bursts in. Oh, never mind. He runs out.
He is dramatized for life.
Yeah.
And the thing is, in their normal voices, the actors' normal voices, those lines probably wouldn't have been half as funny as they were without the augmentation they did for the Slovene voice.
Agreed.
So, since we kind of did one of each of our notes at the same time, do you want to do another one?
Certainly I can do that. I have to do the thing you did and quote from the episode. You think I can travel through time and space and not have a phone?
That was really good. Well, I'm not even going to discuss that. So that's a good line. My next note was like I said, I really like Mickey from this point on, and even though he does start traveling with them next season, I have to say, I do kind of wish he had just started traveling with them here and stopped traveling with them halfway through Series 2 like he already does. Because, let's face it, Doctor Who would be much... not Doctor Who, Dalek would be a much better episode if they had taken out British Boy and replaced him with Mickey.
True, but Mickey couldn't have done all of the stuff the British Boy did by, telling them about the weapons and, basically knowing the base. They'd have to find someone else to know the base. And then they'd have to practice.
Well, then we could just get... Well, then... I would almost just have Van Staten give more exposition.
True, but then you'd have to completely rewrite the next episode. Because it was, British Boy is the one who makes all the trouble, practically.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm saying it would be a much better episode, because I kind of hate British Boy's guts, and even if I do remember his real name in the next episode's recording, I'm still going to call him British Boy, because he doesn't deserve a name. That's how much I hate him.
True.
So you got any more notes? Because I'm all out.
I don't have any more. I guess I will mention that this is one of the few times where a companion of the Doctor kind of, the people around them haven't approved of them traveling with him. I don't think.
Well, this is the first time we've actually seen the people around the companion. Like, I think we've seen it a couple times, but we've never actually had their family really involved. It would just be like, oh, here's the family of this companion for 5 seconds, and moving on to this fun adventure with the Doctor.
I'm trying to think. I mean, in the classic series, we knew Tegan. We saw her aunt for about the first episode. She was in it, and then she got done in by the Master. And we got to meet some of Sarah Jane's family in the K9 and Company episodes, but I don't think we really ever saw a lot of...
Wait, there was more than one episode of K9 and Company?
I'm trying to think. I honestly don't know. I know there was the first one where we got to meet, Aunt Lavinia and... What was his name? I think it started with a B. I think it was Brendan. It was Brendan or Brandon or something like that.
Bernie, maybe?
No, it definitely wasn't that.
Well,
we got to see some of Perry's family.
I haven't even seen any Perry episodes yet. Although I am planning on seeing Caves of Androzani soon.
The Planet of Fire is actually a pretty good episode. I watched that. I think it's a bit of a heavy ending. Because not only does the Doctor destroy Chameleon, he literally leaves the Master begging for his life.
And that's Fifth Doctor?
That's Peter Davidson. That's Fifth.
Wow, the Fifth Doctor is supposedly like one of the lightest Doctors there is. I might have to see that just to see him all angry.
And he doesn't come across as angry. He just kind of stands there and says, tough luck, bye.
And I also I forget what episode it was, but there was one episode where he almost straight up murdered Davros.
True. I don't remember what episode that was. It's the one where Tegan leaves. I think it's Resurrection of the Daleks.
Yeah, it's either Resurrection or Revolution.
I think it's Resurrection, but I don't know.
Yeah, but anyways, I think we should just go on to final thoughts. So, I'm gonna say that this is a very good episode. It comes back and it readdresses some stuff from the beginning of the show. It doesn't straight up ignore Rose's family like a lot of the classic stuff would have. And the villains they're not the best villains ever, but they're okay. I think the only thing that really drags the episode down for me is the farting. And other than that, it's a pretty average episode, and I enjoy it.
And it's also a pleasant change in the plot where the aliens don't actually want to take over the Earth. They literally just want to destroy it.
Of course!
I knew that was coming. I just forgot what I was, and now you've made me forget what I was going to say.
Sorry.
Sometimes
I think I'm going to give this episode a 3.5.
out of
10.
I would say I'm gonna go higher than that. I'm just gonna give it around a 5 because there were some really good scenes in there. I mean, Mickey running head on into a wall. I mean, how is that not fun?
Yeah, this is a really funny episode, but I can't help but not take points off for Nightmare Pig and farting.
Well, I can forgive them for Nightmare Pig because it's supposed to be disturbing. I mean, they created it so that it would look like an alien, like a alien, a real proper alien.
Well, in that case, I'll bump it up to a 4.5.
Anyways, I think it's a worthwhile episode. I mean, I wouldn't put it among my favorites, but it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, it is, and you kind of have to for continuity reasons.
It's definitely good. It definitely is important canon.
Yeah.
I
always say continuity instead of canon for some reason.
Continuity is important as well. But I mean, not only do you get Rose's family, you also get introduced to a number of important characters.
So yeah, I think that's going to do it here. Thank you for listening to Whovian Reviewin. There are several ways you can get in contact with us and leave feedback for the show. You can go to our official, whatever you want to call it, site, thevacuumnetwork.tumblr.com. You can subscribe to us here on YouTube to get every episode as it comes out. That's youtube.com/users/thevacuumnetwork.
And if I could just butt in for a minute and say, hopefully it won't be so long a gap between episodes.
Yeah. You can also follow us on Twitter. That's @thevacuumnet. I'm @vacuuminator, and Bill does not have a Twitter because the internet scares him.
It does not. I'm best friends with the internet. I just prefer to keep my personal details private.
Nothing wrong with that, I guess. But yeah, we would like to thank you once again for listening to this episode of Whovian Reviewin, and we hope you will join us once again next time, and we also hope Ben will join us next time, where we will be reviewing Dalek. Until then, I'm the Vacuuminator.
And I'm Bill.
Signing off. There, that's done. Let's just hope I can get this out soon, and we won't spend another 2 months before we record again.
That was kind of irritating. That was due to personal and probably technical failure, because we had already recorded this episode, but it kind of got misplaced, so we had to come back and re-record it. But we definitely need to work on getting these out faster, because I mean nobody likes anything that comes to an abrupt end.